As I sat in the barber's chair, a man brought his young grandchild in for a haircut. It was easy to see that the child had some sort of developmental disability. Over and over, the barber very patiently reminded the boy to sit still, and she carefully wielded the scissors only when it was safe to do so during the boy's relatively calm periods. At one point, the barber asked the boy if he would like to cut some of her hair, and the boy gleefully nodded yes. The barber gave the boy a pair of scissors, sectioned off a small bit of her own hair, and guided the boy's hand so that he could snip off some of her hair. The boy was delighted. So was I. I don't know whether the barber has any training to deal with kids like this boy, or whether she just intuitively knew how to relate to him, but her compassion for the child was marvelous to behold. It changed my day, and in a small way changed my life. In a sense, the barber's act of kindness changed the world. How often do we treat people as kindly as the barber treated that boy, giving them what they need even though it takes us extra time? I suppose the answer is that most of us do that sort of thing sometimes, but maybe not quite as much as we could. Life is a matter of balance. A strange news story appeared just recently about a man who was scheduled to be executed for a murder he committed. He said he had a last request, which was that free pizzas be sent to homeless people nearby. The prison refused his request, but people in the community heard of it and chipped in, sending hundreds of pizzas to homeless shelters. On balance, the condemned man's gesture doesn't outweigh his crime, but it does challenge the idea that the most appropriate thing for the state to do was to kill the man. He was 53 years old. Might he have done other worthwhile things if he had been allowed to live, if someone had shown him some compassion? Some politicians who supported the invasion of Iraq argue that the world is better off without Saddam Hussein. They assume that because of Saddam's violent history, no one will disagree with that point. And there isn't much evidence that Saddam would have changed his ways. But a man on death row, with nothing to gain by his request, just inspired people to help feed the hungry. So I guess we really don't know what Saddam might have done. All we know is that after we toppled him, we saw to it that he was killed. We didn't wait to see what the balance would have been in his life. We could have. And hard as it is to face, even if the world is better off because Saddam is not in power, it might have been even better off if he had been allowed to live. It's easy to see that compassion for a little boy is a good thing. It's a little harder to be compassionate for a convicted murderer, and even harder to show compassion for a murderous dictator. Maybe we'd be a little more compassionate if we paid attention to the goodness that compassion creates in the world, and stopped worrying that it might also save the life of someone we don't like.